All right, now we're going to talk about inflation and interest. As we move forward with inflation, it's important to remember that most common influences on supply and demand relate to condition and influence, but knowledge of supply and demand benefits decision makers even as they move forward with things like inflation. So, in a free market economy, consumers want as much as they can get for the least amount of money. On the other hand, suppliers want as much money as they can get for the least amount of product or inventory depletion. This value drive for maximization results in a gradual increases in prices overall, or as another way to look at that is it increases or results in inflation. Overall, there's an erosion of purchasing power of any resources that don't grow at least at the rate of inflation. So, inflation rates fluctuate, sometimes remarkably so, in a lot of unstable economies. It's important here to think about inflation as a steady number, and it's going to be helpful to an economy. So, when we look at inflation over a long period of time in the United States, here we can see that it has gone up and down, but you can look at it. It's 2.8 to 1.6 to 2.3, so it has a range. The only time it really fell out of that range, if we look at 2009, we're looking at a pretty serious outlier there. But beyond that, we're looking at a pretty steady fluctuation, and it has been lower in more recent years. So, interest plays a significant role in financial decisions, along with supply and demand, right? So, interest appears in things like interest paid for borrowing funds, interest received for invested funds, and other things along those lines. All right, so interest. It's the time value of money. Something that stuck with me as somebody told me this is those who understand interest get it, those who do not understand it, do not understand interest, pay it. So it's really a cost associated with immediately consuming something when you don't have the funds for it, right? So you have to borrow that money. And the economic agent receives that interest by delaying consumption for something else. So think about if you borrow $5 from your friend to buy something, you pay them back $5.50. You're paying an extra 50 cents for that immediate consumption, and they're receiving 50 cents for delaying their use of that $5. In general, interest is expressed in percentage terms. So it's a percentage of the original amount lent, the principal. So an example on this is interest on a $2,000 loan at 7% would return $2,140 to the investor or the person that loaned out the money after 1 year. If it's not paid back in the first year, the amount, the principal, now becomes $2,140. So that concludes our introduction to inflation and interest.